Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first broadcast of the Excellency Esports Light League. My gosh, it's been a long night, but we're finally here. We're bringing you a broadcast. It is set 1, game 2 of Shadowblade Slash versus Divine Ascension Obsidian. If you're just joining us, Divine Ascension Obsidian did take game 1 in a very daunting and destructive fashion as they absolutely just kind of wiped the competition. But Shadowblade Slash is back. They've changed up a little bit of their roster. They're not playing with as many subs as they were in game 1, so hopefully we can see them run back into this. I am your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, and I'm joined for the first time by the lovely man himself, Coach O'Bubby.
Thank you for having me here, Zephyr. Appreciate it. And thank you, Twitch chat, for being so patient with us through this. We are getting ready to go into our first game, but this will be game 2. So I'm very excited for this. We did have 2 subs on Shadowblade Slash's team last game. So now that we are back to what looks like we're still missing Saturation the Third. He will be subbed in by Vaunted Dream on the side of Divine Ascension Obsidian. But otherwise, it will be 9 of the 10 original cast. So we'll get a very good game here. Yeah. Would you like to talk about the play style for both of these teams that we not only saw while we were spectating, but
yes, I guess I can go into it a little bit. We did actually manage to catch a bit of the first game between these two teams, notably. And let me tell you, it was quite the series. Ended with what was, I believe, a 15,000 gold lead difference in favor of Divine Ascension Obsidian. Notably, Divine Ascension Obsidian, you guys have heard the name for as long as I have. Divine Ascension, they're across our Excellency League. They've got a long time of play together, and they're pretty well-rounded across the board. And while they may play for fun, they definitely show up and show out when they come to a game.
Yeah, we see with that 15K gold lead that they know what they're doing when they get their draft right. They get their players in the right position to carry. They carry hard. Some of their team fights with the Misfortune, the Jarvan, with the Cataclysm, just some very strong team play, some strong drafting. So I'm excited to see that in this game. Divine Ascension did say that Baby Claps is their hard carry. And they said if he does not get fed, they don't seem to win as a team. So being not only the highest ranked on their team, but also having the pressure of being the carry, being put on those carry champions, funnel comps, etc., we're going to definitely see whether he's able to continue that carry playstyle into game 2 or not.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can tackle what makes Shadow Blades a Slash special in their own way a little bit later, but we are partially through the draft here. First ban rotation has come through as well. The bot lane picks have been secured. A strong Kai'Sa Rakan with the scaling strong engage versus the Seraphine Jhin, which I consider just the absolute boom of damage in the bot lane. Oh, thank you for the raid, Dapper Gav. We apologize for taking your ability to come through and stream, but we appreciate you showing your support out here on Excellency.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. This drafting is looking very strong so far. They banned out Vel'Koz, they banned out Gnar, and they banned out Gragas. Do they type if they?
Yes, that is a Gragas.
Okay, so that is the official bans. Pro draft, for anybody who doesn't know, can be a little bit scuffed sometimes. You'll pick a champion and it'll say it was a non-pick, or it'll pick a different one. But it does seem like Gnar, Gragas, and Vel'Koz are the official bans. That is very solid so far. Gragas being flexible, top, mid, jungle, and support right now is huge. Gnar being one of the best top laners in the game and a hard counter to most of the top laners in the game. And Vel'Koz probably a target ban. Although they let the Seraphine get through, Divine Ascension's jungler does have a lot of experience on Amumu. This is some very heavy AoE team comp, and picking that Gen 80 carry not only for probably Baby Claps on 80 carry this game, but giving them that super long range, hard comboed CC engage with the pick potential, Jhin, Seraphine, and Amumu is going to be very difficult to deal with. Also, Seraphine being the biggest pick in the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Notably, with some of these bans here, we do see Divine Ascension return to the Anivia, banning that one out. That did land into the hands of Shadowblade Slash this last game. And while it didn't come to the full fruition, I know you were talking about, before we even got into this, how absurd that champion is in the current meta at this point.
Yeah, Nivea's been buffed twice. They're reverting it back a little bit, but it's still not enough. She is probably the most dominant mid laner. We know Seraphine is the most popular, has the highest win rate, but as far as carry potential goes, Anivia does seem to outshine Seraphine by almost double her damage average. Not as much pick potential, but if you're running the right AoE team comp, Anivia is going to shine absolutely outshine the Seraphine in every way. Aatrox gets picked top, which does complement this team comp a lot. A lot of sustained fighting, some strong pick potential. Malphite ban goes through as they don't want to risk the unstoppable force being able to fly that Malphite into the backline and lock down the Jhin and Seraphine before Divine Ascension has been able to get their combo off.
Now I'm interested while they're, throwing through the Cassiopeia here. They're definitely stacking themselves up for a bit more of a later potential, especially with the Kai'Sa already being on the ring. And while she is very strong, so mid to late game, Cassiopeia, I feel like definitely benefits with the extended periods of the game there. And while they do have a little bit of leniency through the Heck and the Wook now to actually scale through the early game potential, they're putting a lot of build on this Cassiopeia in the hands of what I believe is going to be Shade Fira.
Yeah, you have the strong early game from Wukong. Cassiopeia's first time in lane when she just starts tier is very weak. If she is able to base on that 1,300 gold, get the Lost Chapter with the tier half stacked, basically no more mana issues with the Presence of Mind, her harass becomes impossible to deal with if she lands her poison on you. Hard to gank her when she has Miasma, and once she hits level 6, a Flash Petrifying Gaze from her can just be an instant death sentence. Hecarim, very dominant early game, mid and late, very complementing team fight style with the Rakan and Wukong. Any of the three can go in, any of the three can combo with each other and allow this double hyper carry funnel in Cassiopeia and Kai'Sa to shine.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll have to be watching out, especially since there's definitely, there's definitely a lot of time here for Ascension to stunt the growth there and make sure that this team does not assess or get to that point where they actually can play around some of these major pillars. So I'd like to revisit that a little bit later and see where that ends up.
Yeah,
I won't have a choice. I'll be in game.
Yeah, I think the drafting is very strong from both teams. Jhin and Seraphine are going to be absolutely necessary in this team comp for Divine Ascension Obsidian to be able to not only start the fights but finish the fights off. Amumu with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, he does have that huge AoE 2-second stun lockdown, but afterwards he just kind of cries at your feet and punches you for 50 damage and auto attack. It doesn't do too much but annoy you. Aatrox is very long sustained fighting. Nico has some low cooldowns, but Jhin is going to have to shine after their first 5 to 10 seconds in this fight, where from the beginning all the way to the end, Kai'Sa, Cassiopeia, and Wukong are a constant threat, not only from their poke and hard engage between them and counter engage if they do get collapsed on, but their sustain and continuous damage that they're able to get off. 2 of those 3 being tank busters if we see a Leandri's on the Cassiopeia, and Kai'Sa's passive doing percent missing health damage every 5 procs.
I agree. I can see how this will allow them to kind of enable themselves as they get further into the game and actually punish out the Ascension for not quite having ease of access when it comes to laying it out across the board. But at the same time, I cannot stress the level of control we saw out of Ascension Obsidian in this last game. They definitely had a sustained carry potential early all the way to late game, and we'll see a little bit of kills, especially towards what was Shadowblade's bot lane, hopefully into the hands of Kai this time around. We'd love to see Vorn somewhere a bit of a start. Either way, it does not bode well. We need to see responses and less bleeding out of Shadowblades, and Divine Ascension can definitely be this team that takes mistakes from game one.
Yeah, absolutely. The triple engage option from Shadowblades does give them a lot more variation for play. They can play strong top with Hecarim, Wukong, secure those rifts, use teleports and roaming into the mid, into the bottom. Once they get big themselves, transition that lead into the Cassiopeia and Kai'Sa. Cassiopeia into a mid lane Nico. The clone is a little bit deceptive. If Nico plays it correctly, it gives her some movement speed, but it's going to be pretty hard for her to survive a gank if she gets caught out a little bit too far forward in lane. And Jhin, Seraphine are very immobile champions. Almost all of their abilities they cast make them stop moving when they cast it. So even their disengage roots them for a third or fourth of a second just from that channel time for Rakan, Kai'Sa, and Hecarim to really get in there and kill him. A Hail of Blades Kai'Sa with just Rakan and Hecarim getting that CC, getting her passive proc on there can do so much for this early game, especially if Rakan decides to take Ignite. We're going to see a lot of fighting, probably top and bottom side in the first 3-4 minutes. I'm anticipating an early first blood with these type of team comps.
I think it's going to come around. Just to let people know, in the first game, I think we had roughly 40 kills across the board for what was a 30-minute game. So you're looking at easily over a kill per minute. So for things that are early explosive power, that's definitely going to be a topic that we can't avoid. It's not like we're going to see them hold out for 5-10 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, I'll place my bets. If you want to place them against me, I don't know how you would. I don't know what we'd be betting on, but I'm a gambling man. All right, I think these teams are going to hit it hard right from the get-go.
We do have predictions available in Twitch chat if the production team decides to put that out there. So you can choose for channel points which team you would like to bet on that you think wins in draft, and also just player difference and team difference here that you'd like to see win. Going into game 2, the Amumu is going to have to lead this team, land the bandage toss, land the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Seraphine lands the Encore, followed up by Nico's ultimate, Jhin, Curtain Call, Aatrox sustained fighting. If they can't get that off, it's going to be very, very difficult to kind of pick these fights around these objectives, especially if they come in late. Amumu and Aatrox going so far ahead of the rest of the team, Jhin and Seraphine get left behind. The engage goes wrong. It's going to backfire on them very hard, but they do have a very massive level 6 advantage from these ultimates. Nico and Amumu total are going to do a 4 to 4.5 second stun combo with the Seraphine. You got a up to 6 second chain CC AoE combo on their hands.
But that's only if they manage to get to where they need to be, especially since they've got Hecarim and Wukong on their belt for Shadowblade Slash. I can see this absolutely running the opposite direction. You talked about the distance that is the provided space between Nico Amumu, or Aatrox, my apologies, and then, your backline with the Jhin there. I can see this just absolutely collapsing, where you've got the Heck coming in with the Onslaught Shadows, just running it back with Wukong, using some of those clones with the Cloudburst to get in there, through with the Cyclone, and then at that point, how do your immobile carries really make it out?
Yeah, Kai'Sa is able to follow up with her ultimate too. She can just dash into the backline if they get some CC. So Shadowblades is going to have a very easy time picking these fights. If one of them messes up, the other can cover their weaknesses. But if they're getting into these objectives late, they're going to walk into the hands of Divine Ascension Obsidian's massive AoE CC. They won't have an opportunity to turn this around. I
think my major kind of take on it is Divine Ascension easily has this kind of cohesion with their team, right? They might be a bit separated, but if the big engage comes, it's quite easy to, just put the head thoughts forward and just say, let's get this guy, end him now, here we go. Whereas Shadowblade Slash has to manage the positioning on their carries, where the engagers are in comparison, because I can see them kind of running with a major collapse if they don't all play pretty much perfectly,
Yeah, very contrasting playstyles between these two teams. In an interview, Shadowblade said that they have an all-star bottom lane, but they're oriented mid, top, and jungle, knowing that their AD carry can play safe, where Divine Ascension said it's Baby Claps is going to carry or we're going to lose this game. So maybe they just play weak bottom side, just don't even go for fights and just play top side, get that Wukong big.
Well, let me tell you, Bubby, we're about to learn how hard a baby really can clap. But for us, we're going to be going to a short break as we get this production rolling and we make our way towards the Rift. Stick around and stay tuned for what will be the first game broadcasted here at Excellency Esports Light League. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Light League. We've got two teams here. My apologies. Shadowblade Slash versus Divine Ascension Obsidian. Both of them coming off a hot game one where Divine Ascension Obsidian absolutely dominated the competition. So we're going to be watching to see if Shadowblade Slash maybe takes it back in this best of two, or we see a clean sweep from Divine Ascension Obsidian. I am your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, joined by the lovely Coach of Bubby as my color for actually the very first time.
Yeah, and it's very exciting for the first time. This last game was very hype. We didn't get to catch it on stream, but seeing just the last bit of it before we jumped into game two, the level of play that we saw was so high. We did get a pretty big split between the two teams, ending in a 15k gold lead, but the team fighting was very, very beautifully set up. So going into this game, I'm expecting with this draft a little bit closer, hopefully, maybe a little bit longer. It is just a best of two, so this isn't going to be a tiebreaker kind of game that we're going into.
One thing to note is the support has changed for this series when it comes to Divine Ascension. While they did win game one, I'm curious to see how this might enable Baby Claps in any way. They've got their usual support back into the mix, and they talk about how Baby Claps is a supreme carry for their team. I mean, we've been barking up the same dream here for now, what is 15 minutes? Good support with consistency? I think that spells disaster.
Yeah, it definitely does. We see a lot of CC from Amumu, Jhin, Seraphine, some very early ganks. Amumu decides to start his bottom side camp going for blue, so he will be making his way up top side, jungling horizontally alongside Hecarim, both of them going for full clears. So all we're going to see is just some solo actions in these lanes, and then probably a scuttle fight in about a minute and a half as they make the
maybe not. They're going for the fight now. Divine next going to be tossed up there. He's going to be ignited and forced to expend that flash. I mean, that's pretty big to play off of at this point. Get one more grand entrance from Homicide. That's a hard one.
Homicidiac.
Homicidiac. I apologize. I've never been good with tongue twisters, Bubby. You'll quickly learn this.
Well, it's a fancy name. It's a little bit intricate, but I like it. He is playing Rakan very well. A really strong pressure. He's using that Relic Shield to hit that level 2 rush. Goes right in on Seraphine, puts that pressure down. Ignite for Flash. She didn't end up really getting her Guardian proc off in a meaningful way. Just blocked a little bit of damage at the beginning. And Jhin was patient enough to hold the heal. She's able to pot up, so get some sustain back in. But being down that Flash, seeing the aggression, they're in a dangerous spot.
Right. At this point, though, she still has the exhaust on her belt for a viable summoner, so I don't think we're going to see any major claps come anytime soon. While she's incredibly squishy and they can play off that, I don't think Vorn or Homicidiac have the official damage to really finish out the kill unless we do see maybe a gank come through. I mean, there's the grand entrance paired through with the passive. Vorn's chasing out, but a great slow response. Good root. Rakan trying to get up with a big flash fourth shot. He heals through it from Vorn.
Yeah, very aggressive. Homicidiac.
Okay. I'm doing my best, Finnick. This is my production man telling me I'm a fool. And trust me, I hear it every day of the week. As a Texan with a huge accent. No, I'm kidding. Either way, good root in the mid lane onto Shade Fear. Forced to flash, but the bandage toss still lands. Maniac comes through, but he's going to be flashed out. But there's the flash response from Void to find the first blood for Divine Ascension Obsidian.
Yeah, very nice gank. A long delay on that bandage toss from Amumu really puts Shade Fira in a dangerous position. The Hecarim comes in with the ghost, counter gank, lands the charge, but nice flash from both of them just to get out of that turret aggro. Void flashes back forward to pick up that first kill, and surprisingly, the one lane I didn't expect to see a lot of aggro in for the first blood. We're seeing fighting constantly in topside from Coltson, dominating this lane against the Wukong, huge CS lead, and even bottom lane with all these suns being burned, but then it ends up being the mid lane where there's the huge gank play coming out.
Ooh, beautiful pull there. Forced that flash out of Grim Tortoise. It's a chef's kiss. Yes. That's all I'm going to say.
Delicious play right here. Coltonson really showing some dominance on Aatrox into this matchup. I do believe it is in his favor. Wukong has a harder time. Level 6, it can swing in Wukong's favor, especially if he stays farmed up and ahead or tied in experience. But Aatrox now hitting level 5, Wukong hitting 4, and walking back to lane with the wave shoved into his turret, missing this huge CS. It's going to swing a lot of favor in topside, especially with the Fed Nico.
Right. Ooh, homie Sidiac coming in, gets the knockup with the grand entrance. They find the play, but the exhaust is keeping him alive. Mechanic Maniac coming through there to get the pullback. The passive finally coming off, and that's going to be Vorn to shut down Baby Claps.
Yeah, he's flashing forward aggressively to pick up the kill on Homicidiac earlier, burns that flash, burns the exhaust from Seraphine, but there's 3 of them coming. He doesn't have flash himself, so without really having any kind of summoner advantage there, they're able to pick up that kill and just rotate onto a really early 5.5-minute Drake for them without having base on the Kai'Sa. She's got 42 minions creep score and a kill on her belt. She's sitting very pretty at 1,600 gold with an Earth Drake. Not an 80 carries favorite, but Wukong and Hecarim are definitely going to love having that in the early game.
And now we can pull back and say, well, this bot lane here, Baby Claps is now in a bit of a poked situation. He's died out. He's lost essentially almost 2 waves here. He's going to be able to get a bit back as he pushes this wave into turret and kind of cancels out some of that divide. But the extra kill in Vorn's favor definitely stacks against him, because we all know in this current meta, Kai'Sa just scales so absurd.
If she's running Hail of Blades, she's an assassin early game that scales into a hyper carry late game. So at all points in the game, Kai'Sa is a force to be reckoned with. We see the kill on the bottom side, proving that point exactly. But fight in mid lane breaks out, misses the barb for the snare. But they do have 6, so they might go for a fight soon, knowing that they don't have flashes.
Ooh, Grim Taurus taking this one directly. Going to use that Cyclone, but the World Ender comes out in response. He's going to chase him back into mini-wave. There's the reactivation on the Cyclone. Vaunted Dream is available. Throws the Bandage Toss and finds the stun now. Colton chases out, finishes the kill.
Very nice rotation here by Vaunted Dream. Aatrox did have a flash advantage, so even without a Mumu, it was very possible he picked up that kill. It does give the assist gold onto Mumu. Nice hold of his ultimate, so he still has that for a play mid lane. And no flash by Aatrox being burned to get the kill. He's going to have a huge advantage. And Rift spawning in 30 seconds with this kill in mid, with this kill in top. We're going to see a lot of priorities mid fights.
Top Blossom. I don't think he has any mana to make his way out of here. Shade Fear taken out once again as Void is just stacking that lead in the mid.
Yeah, we see Baby Claps going down into the 80 carry role. Void picking up mid lane this game, but Void's actually the one that's doing super strong here in the mid lane. Baby Claps is supposed to be the carry, but the rest of his team seems to be doing it for him. So not sure if that's a good sign or a bad sign just yet. But
hey, don't dish on my man, Baby Claps. We're still waiting to see how strong the Baby Claps, all right? Jin's got a lot of potential up his sleeves. I don't think babies can wear sleeves, though. Either way, grand entrance, knock up. Baby Claps going to be charged out with that passive. Tries to kite this one forward there. Ooh, either way, top side, we're getting a regank onto Grim Taurus there. That taken out once again. What a shame. Distracted me.
Yeah, directed camera.
What a
decided
shame.
Bottom lane's not that important of a fight. Let's go look at top side. And top side does get the kill, so kudos to directed camera on the prediction there. Rakan's getting some good engages. But
prediction.
Yeah, the kill potential is a little bit lower bottom side than it is top side, so they pull us away.
Either way,
second.
That is definitely a strength onto the position of Colton, now looking very, very strong there. Ooh, Baby Claps launched onto with the Killer Instinct. There's the exhaust, maybe a little bit too late. Oh, Savari, Divine XZ, taken out pretty aggressively from Mechanics Gank.
Yeah, nice rotation there by Hecarim, knowing that they're able to go in Vorn with a little bit of a stall. Them not having level 6 on Divine Ascension's side is really rough for them to handle that. And Rakan doesn't even need the quickness to lock them down with that charm. So they're just going to get a huge lead bottom side for them while they're going for top.
I mean, Grim Taurus here looking for that escape, but he's going to be absolutely bandage tossed in maybe just a second. Ooh, Tantrum doesn't find it where it needs to be, so he gets out just fine. Still, pushed out of lane this aggressively at 9 minutes, forced to back constantly, and that's going to be, I believe, first turret with all those plates stacking up for Colton and Vaunted, of course.
Yeah, massive advantage for him. We see 80 CS to 28 on Wukong, 2 kill lead, very huge. He is 2,500 gold up, over 120% lead against this Wukong right now. But taking a turret that early is a dangerous play because the minion waves are going to keep pushing past that tier 1 turret topside, and Coltonson's not really going to have a safe lane to farm in. We might see some 3 person roams against him if he pushes too far, and he could end up giving his shutdown gold back and losing this CS lead that he's currently holding.
Right. Notably, you talk about roaming, and one thing that we haven't gotten to see very much of, except for that bot lane gank, is the real aggression of this Hecarim. Mechanic Maniac does have Onslaught of Shadows, so he has his full rotation available, but compared to Vaunted Dream, who we have seen once again reoccur into that top side, into the favor of Colton Sun, it's a completely different ballpark of jungle pressure.
Yeah, you would expect to see the Hecarim doing a lot more this early in a game compared to the Amumu, who kind of outscales the Hecarim in terms of team fighting. Amumu starts a tank, scales into a Giga Tank. Hecarim starts kind of a bruiser carry and then transitions into the tank, where he doesn't shine as much as an Amumu would. So a little bit rough start, especially having Phase Rush instead of Conquers. So his late game fighting is going to be pretty difficult. They set up for this second Drake on the board. It'll be first for them for Infernal. And 5 of them are in the pit.
Yeah, at this point, great rotation. They do allow for some pushing pressure back onto the top side for Grim Taurus as well as Shade Fira, but I like Colton and Void's pull here. Great Petrifying Gaze, but it doesn't find its way onto Void. That pot Blossom to fall through to come up with the stun. There's the chains. The kill finds its way once again over to Void.
Yeah, this is 2 for 2 flashes on Void that have landed the key CC that they need to pick up this kill. So very resilient hold on her CC, hold on the flash, and landing it every single time is going to net her this 3 kill and 25 CS lead that she's got going for her. Cassiopeia being one of the 2 hyper carries on the team, 0 and 3. We're at 12 minutes in and can barely just now afford only a lost chapter. Is going to set them back a lot as they're 4K gold behind.
Ooh, look at the bot lane here, though. Vaunted Dream just coming up short off of that bandage toss. Could have been another gank, and it brings back to question that jungle pressure. But either way, I look at this bot lane because Vorn is in such a peculiar situation. He still has a little bit of the lead, and while Baby Claps is looking a lot better, he still can become that absolute monster that we discussed earlier. Definitely has all the tools on his team to enable him at this point.
Yeah, Jhin is one of those AD carries that you cannot rule out no matter what his gold lead is. His 4th shot is an execute, and his ultimate, all 4 shots of his curtain call are executes. So even if he's not sitting pretty, has a little bit of a gold disadvantage, he can sustain fight really hard. His abilities all smack for so much damage if he gets a full bouncing grenade off, up to that 120% increased damage on the 4th bounce. Curtain call, 2,000 range away, just executing all of your members, getting those shutdown golds from safety to get back in the game. It's very easy compared to Kai'Sa, who needs to go up in front.
My gosh, Grim Tortoise can't get a break. Even there, he's forced to flash out of that one. The Wukong just absolutely getting slapped around here. Much a great praise towards Vaunted Dream making some of those ganks, but at the same time, the Aatrox pick into the Wukong, I feel like the Aatrox definitely comes out on top most of the time.
Yeah, it's a very solid laning phase for him. If the Wukong is able to stay even, burn out the Aatrox ultimate, and then re-engage afterwards, he does have a pretty decent advantage. But not only with the early kill going on to Aatrox before level 6, but Wukong being 5 to Aatrox to 6 with a second gank kind of left him with no wiggle room this game.
Right. So at this point, you've got 2 major carries for the side of Divine Ascension. Absolutely in stellar performance. Colton Sun on the Aatrox and Void on the Nico. Look at the advantage on Void more specifically. We talk about Colton Sun looking great, but that's a 30 CS lead, 2-level advantage there. I mean, that's massive in comparison.
Especially being level 11, having that second level in your ultimate for such a key ultimate, finishing the rocket belt to get in there. Flash on a 2-minute cooldown. We're going to see Drake spawning in 2 minutes. So I'm expecting Void to make a very strong play at this Drake coming up soon.
How could you not? Your team built off of AoE. We discussed it in the pre-draft analysis. Yeah. Curse of the Sad Mummy to Pop Blossom. Oh my gosh. Crazy thought. Oh, Shade Fear steps a little bit too far forward, and that's the Pop Blossom we just talked about. Void with another kill upon the snake. Oh, wait a second.
On bottom side
Mystidiac finding that grand entrance. That's the flash from Divine X. Baby Clip stepping forward there, and the damage on this Jhin just isn't there to punish them out.
Yeah, no encore use from Seraphine. A little bit interesting. Maybe the Jhin was just saying, I don't think we have the damage for this. Let's just kite it out and pull back. Save this for the Drake. Seraphine's ultimate being a 2-minute cooldown, it would be pretty risky to throw it out now for a kill that's not even guaranteed. Kai'Sa having flash, having killer instinct to dash away from.
Right.
They do have to be careful. She doesn't have flash up anymore, so if she steps too far forward, she could die here.
I mean, stepped up, managed to get out. There's the encore, finds the charm, but the root comes through exhaust as well. Vorn's taken very, very low. The trap doesn't find the damage. There's the killer instinct with the shield. Both targets looking very, very low here, but Homie Sadiak, my apologies, Homie Sadiak, doing a great job to defend that one out. Meanwhile, Grimtor is punished once again. Homicidiac. I'm gonna fight someone. Maybe it's you, Bubby. Maybe it's Homicidiac.
Just think homicide. And then
what is a homicide? I don't speak French.
Well, homicide is what this Rakan is trying to do, but having a little bit more of a difficult time pulling off with the Guardian, with the exhaust, with the encore on Seraphine, heal from Jhin. This fight breaks out for over 30 seconds and neither of them fall, burning all of their sums in that play except for both 80 carries flashes. So none of those will be available for this Drake spawning in 11 seconds as we take a pause.
Yeah, we are in a pause though, so we have some time to maybe discuss this one out, flesh it a bit. I will say Divine XZ did a fantastic job on the aggression there. And while you did talk about the risk associated with stepping into that Rakan, she did a great pull on making sure that Vorn could not assess complete damage onto Baby Claps, keep him sustainable in that lane and force out some of those backs. In response though, Homicidiac did a fantastic job of making sure they really couldn't get on top of Vorn to finish off any kill that they wanted. But I definitely think the tails are starting to slip, or my apologies, the scales are starting to slip in favor of Baby Claps as he continues to assume more and more waves off these appropriate backs.
Yeah, Kai'Sa split her build trying to get a little bit of a lead before she was able to finish Gale Force off, picking up the Serrated Dirk, thinking maybe this would be a little bit more damage, getting this kill before the Drake, being able to get the gold to then finish the Gale Force off, which she doesn't have just yet because of that buy. Jhin neither able to finish his Gale Force, so everybody in the game almost has their mythics for Team Divine Ascension except for Jhin. So he's just going to sit back, but he used the curtain call for that play. So he's not going to be able to do a whole lot in this fight. I think he's just going to play behind Aatrox. He's going to play behind Mumu and the Nico, just sit back, maybe pick up some of these kills with some executes from his fourth shot. This does put a lot less pressure on the Wukong, on the Hecarim, and on the Rakan for diving into the backline because the main damage dealer right now is Nico, and she's going to be going in, leaving that Jhin and Seraphine unprotected.
I will say, though, that's not exactly the best situation for them. And while I do have favor in Mechanic and Grimtor's getting into that backline and maybe finding success onto Baby Claps and Divine XZ, Void going in with Colton to pair through off of a nice teleport, from what I assume, will absolutely destroy Vorn unless, of course, we see, nope, doesn't have Killer Instinct up. So I feel like you'll see the AD carry Vorn go down pretty much instantly, and the damage won't be there for Mechanic, Maniac, and Grimtaurus to find their way, even if they push forward with, say, Vorn or Shade Fira. Across the board, I don't think this team has assessed enough to really compete with the strength of Void and Colton Sun. I mean, that's a 2-level lead in the mid lane. I can't quite see my friend, my good old pal Wukong, as he is currently dead, so it makes it impossible to find him. But massive leads.
Yeah, I think he's permanently stuck in his Trickster using his Invis until the pause comes through and he respawns in 4 seconds. Teleports are available for all 3 players running them. We do have some vision on both sides, above and below Drake, for both teams. So a hopefully cataclysmic team fight breaks out and a possible reverse for Shadowblade. But I think the best call would be to give this Drake. They are playing for the scale. Cassiopeia picked up a needlessly large rod, not even building towards that lost chapter for the Leandri's Torment, possibly just trying to finish off the Seraph's Embrace first, just get a little bit better of a item spike, a little bit cheaper, just do anything she can to stay in this game for Shade Fira right now.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation for the Cassiopeia. 0-4 now, sustained pushback, 50 CS deficit. non-completed mythics, of course, across the board they're struggling, but that's one of your major pillars to find success if you're Shadowblade Slash, right? And at this point, I can't imagine seeing that Cassiopeia really come online and be useful until maybe like 25 minutes. And that's a huge issue. That gives plenty of time for Baby Claps to find his way back into it, shows that he is the supreme carry of this team, and for Void and Colton Sun to shut down it across the board.
Yeah, playing the scale is the right call here. They're too far behind at this point in time, so that's really their only option. Wukong 0-3, 71 CS. Cassiopeia 0-4, 71 CS. They don't have a lot of options right now to make plays. Wukong is pushed into his tier 2 turret, and he's still dying almost under his own turret to this Aatrox, with Hecarim showing presence. Aatrox sees him on the side, goes, I'll kill Wukong first anyways, does so, and Hecarim has to back away. So it's going to be very difficult for them to come back in. Like I said, contest these Drakes. It's just a Cloud, getting these cooldowns on a very heavy ultimate reliant team comp that Divine Ascension Obsidian Gaming has really isn't something you want to do. But it's better than the alternative, which is losing the fight, giving up an even bigger gold lead, losing more CS, probably your mid tier 1 turret if you lose this fight at Drake, and still not getting Drake regardless.
This is one of those turning points, then, I assume. It's one of those last legs that gives you the kind of push that you need to find your way back in this, because I can only see the stacking continually in Divine Ascension's favor if they don't find anything here. I mean, would I be right?
Yeah, definitely. You have to pick as a team at this point, and that really comes down to your shot caller, what they decide is the best play. Maybe, during this pause, they can have a little bit of a tribunal, get together around a campfire, have some s'mores and say, what is the only option we have here to try and get back at this current point in time? Or what do we need to stop or start doing to change this game around? Because right now, whatever it is they are doing is not working. They have the potential to come back. They have the scaling team, but they need to know what to do to allow that time to pass where it can activate. Whereas right now, their team's not in a good position. They're not scaling. Kai'Sa's and Hecarim being the only ones that are doing okay. And their counterpart, Amumu and Jhin, are honestly playing perfectly with the team right now. So even having a very slight gold deficit, it doesn't matter with the 4-0 Nico and the 3-0 Aatrox.
Right. I will say, though, I think we've kind of exhausted any of the potential topics to break down for what is currently going on. I think we're going to be taking this to a short little break. We'll come back to you guys once the game is actually live and back in play. We don't want to talk your ear off, and I don't think I can actually pretend to be someone funny. So we'll be right back, probably sooner than you think. So stick around, stay tuned for what will be the finale for this second game of this first set. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to apologize for that little pause, but we're right back with it. Divine Ascension Obsidian versus Shadowblade Slash. Like we've been setting up, Divine Ascension Obsidian looking very, very good as they play off of Void and Colton Sun off a very strong lead. Whereas now Shadowblade Slash trying to find their way back into the game, play catch up.
Yeah, a lot of pressure in this bottom side from Vorn and Homicidiac, putting a lot of fights down. They've been very close. Vorn has showed a lot of dominance, so this might be their key back in. We discussed how this is a very risky fight for them to pick, but it looks like they are deciding to pick this. They have Hecarim coming a little bit late, so they might have to give it up.
Right, and we talked about how this was supposed to be a major point contention, and Mechanic Maniac notably was on that top side, clearing towards, I believe, Gromp at the time of the back there, so no real access to getting towards this Cloud Drake anytime soon.
Yeah, probably just deciding he needs to get as much CS as he can.
He's going to come bot lane. There's a great knockup with the Grand Entrance. Pushes Divine XZ back there. He's extremely low, but great stuns across the board into a triple encore charm with the double root. Now Grim Tortoise coming through there. Finds his way onto Vaughn to Dream as he tries to get the backline. As Colton Sun finally arriving with the World Ender there. Grim Tortoise flashboard finds himself in a little bit of a pinch, but Colton Sun's getting ripped through from Vorin there. Pulls back as Grim Tortoise launches forward. He's going to be stunned out and finally finds his way over to death in the hands of Aatrox again. Now the curtain call there, sniping this one out. Can't find the horse, can't find the bird, can find a little bit of the Void. Now Void actually make his way bot, finding that response onto Homicidiac. Homicidiac.
You got it. Yeah, that was a very good fight. I like the way that it started. It was very highly in favor of Shadowblade Slash, but Wukong's teleport came without Cyclone. He had to wait 10 seconds to activate a Cyclone to get into that fight. If it was off cooldown, that would have been a winning fight for Shadowblade. So they show that they still have some bite in them. It did backfire a little bit. 2 kills go over, but overall, really showing that they're not afraid to pick this fight. You know, they're not giving up just yet. They did fight correctly. They're just missing that Cyclone from Wukong. Maybe next time he does have that Cyclone, and maybe next time they do win the fight.
You know, one notable thing that most teams never really participate in is fighting around non-objectives. You know, we see these Dragon contestants or the Baron picks or going for the Rift or the Scuttle or whatnot. At that point, in terms of leverage, there was nothing on the map. Maybe we can talk about bot lane turret, right? That might have been something to touch on. But other than that, you know, it was full throttle from Divine Ascension. They went for it because they felt like they could find something. And while Shadowblade Slash were in favor to come with a response and get something off of the merit there, it just came up a little bit too short. But I like that identity for Divine Ascension.
Yeah, and it definitely showed some very strong plays. Almost a really big turnaround for them if they did get those shutdowns. Aatrox got very low with that 500 on him. Nico came late, so if she had been there, it would have been a different story. But if they pick a good fight with the collapse that they have, try and single out the split pushing Aatrox, they might be able to find a comeback position. He's been pushing very far forward, as we're seeing right now this whole game.
Oh, Shade Fear there, forced to flash almost. Colton Sun getting back over the wall before he gets engaged on, but it just does not look good for Shadowblade Slash.
They're in a rough spot. Backed against the corner, against the clock. They have the Drake advantage. In 7 minutes, it could be Soul Point. They have the setup for Baron with these mid and top lane turrets pushed in. Yeah. Huge vision advantage across the board. They have controls and vision wards down, so they're gonna have to walk into their own jungle scared on Shadowblade's side, and being behind us. Yes, it's a very hard thing to do. They decide to collapse top
that
side.
Knock up. There's the Killer Instinct with the follow-up. Colton unable to find his way over the wall. Oh, finally a kill in response. It's been roughly 10 minutes since we've seen a kill come in favor of Shadowblade Slash. Now Mechanic Maniac looking to follow up even further. Onslaught Shouts forcing onto Baby Claps there. Gets the slow and finds the kill. Shadowblade Slash not out of it just yet.
Yeah, this is that pick potential that they need to be looking for, but they get picked themselves.
On Masadiak, he's going to get the knockup with the Grand Entrance. There's the flash, dash onto Solida. Beautiful.
Yeah, a nice bandage toss there by Vaunted Dream in the right place at the right time, like we've seen 90% of this game. Unfortunately, can't be said for about a minute ago on that play against Coltonson topside, pushing consistently without the wards, without the team. It backfired for a minute as they forced Shade Fira to flash away. Said, oh, we got this. Coltonson pushed back into the topside and ended up giving his full 800 gold shutdown value to Vorin, giving her the finished Kraken and a pickaxe, finished Berserker Greaves. Very big power spike and a kill on the Jhin. Not worth any shutdown, but still big to get that on that Hecarim, getting close to a second item.
Now, noticeably, Vorn, who we talked about being the scaling monster at the beginning of the game, finally finding a little bit more leeway. And honestly, Vorn's been playing very, very well in the face of what Divine Ascension has thrown at them. And I think, personally, I can see why they say their team is based around this bot lane. Vorn shows the level of control and restraint and just general protection. Ooh, Vaunted Dream, there's the Curse of the Sad Money, double stun there, Pop Blossom to follow it up for a major double kill. Now Coltonson deep in the back line, tries to find that triple knock, but it's not quite, as Divine X is going to pick it through. Mechanic Maniac, the only one left alive, as he goes down as well for a full team wipe for Divine Ascension. Just as I was praising them.
Beautiful team fight. I know it's hard to see, but it's just the truth. When you have this team comp, you've been playing it well the whole time. They've thrown a little bit by the way that they're choosing to split across the map, but when you go 5v5 head first around this Drake, that is when they're going to shine their brightest, and it's worked 3 for 3 now. Rotating into this Baron.
I mean, if you want to talk about game one, they ran a very, very similar comp with heavy engage. We're talking Jarvan. It's a strong misfortune comp, and they showed that they had the potential, especially Vaunted Dream on the Jarvan, time and time again, getting deep in that backline, laning up the Cataclysm, pairing it through with the rest of the team to secure a continuous and sustained fight. I mean, this is something that Divine Ascension looks to do well, and I'm curious to see how it plays out for the rest of the league. But now we're going to see Grim Taurus taken out again. The Baron's pulled off for a little bit, but I'm curious if we're going to see them go for the actual full-on fight. Chalblad's Slash, though, just pulls off completely.
Yeah, Wukong's 0 and 5 at the time. He's only worth about 100 gold, maybe 140 because of the 1 assist he got a while ago. So him dying, not a big deal. He'll respawn before anything happens on the board. Just seeing if maybe they can contest. Turns out they can't. They have to give that one over, and it's a big win for Divine Ascension Gaming. They have a lot of pressure. Soul Point comes up in 4 minutes for him. For the next 3, they got this Baron. They might just group up as 5. Say it hasn't lost us a team fight yet. Run it down mid with the Baron. Get an inhib with that inhib pressure. Push for Drake in 4 minutes.
Right. And at this point, just look at the across the board. The strength of Void especially. In comparison to what Shade has been punished through and through time and time again, it is absurd that Neeko is playing as well as she is. Because I remember there was a little bit of some doubts, especially in thinking about the aggression of this lane. You know, you don't assume that Neeko's going to find a majorly successful constant kill streak, you know? But that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, my prediction was a lot of fighting topside in Coltonson's favor, which we did get. I was saying mid's a farm fest, maybe some fights around objectives with these key ultimates, but, you know, 3-minute first blood for the Neeko.
Oh, big grand. That's going to be Coltonson forced out too far forward, finally paying off. We've been talking about him playing too frontal there, and that's the 3-man gank that actually has come through this time around. Maybe a little
not
late,
a big loss. Not a big loss. It's the Hecarim ultimate for the Aatrox. So his teleport. Baron's still up for another minute and a half. So they can afford it. It's not a play you want to make, but it's a play you can afford to make.
They can afford to make it, but that doesn't deny the fact that the 4-1 would have looked absolutely fantastic and led to potentially a quicker victory here for Divine Ascension. I mean, it might be like a little mistake, but I think it's actually huge in the face of, you know, trying to finish this game out. Because at the end of the day, Shade and Vorn are still scaling, right? It may not be the perfect team. They might not be playing the comp to the best, but you still cannot give them that leeway.
You definitely do make a good point. Getting that 3rd kill on Vorin is huge. Aatrox does just teleport right back. They're going to decide to do a 5 push down mid. This time, not going for a split. It hasn't worked for him super successfully yet.
Colton's hugging that side, and then he finally makes the decision, says, you know what, whatever Coach Bubby says, I don't care. I'm back in the bot lane. We should just stop speaking. I feel like whatever we say, it's just the opposite tonight.
Colton, he has to do everything opposite. They do get that mid inhib. They're going to push down, have those super minions for straight.
Advantage toss, and the curses that might pop Blossom to secure the double kill there. Now Shade Fear looking very low, taken out with the exhaust on top. Grim Turtis is going to be the last one out there as Bourne trying to make the escape, but he's rooted through from Void, and the curtain call punishing it out. Can't find the kill though. Either way, 4 members down here for the side of Shadowblade Slash, and I think they're going to back because can they finish this one out? And Colton's very strong. He's looking to punish one. There's the double. Can the triple find its way? Oh! Absolutely destructive force there paired with the Gale Force. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, 10 seconds on the timer. This is going to be game for them. A very strong play, ignoring that soul point spawning and just pushing right through for the win condition.
Right. Divine Ascension Obsidian with a fantastic finish managed to take an extremely daunting victory once again over Shadowblade Slash.
Yeah, the 2-0 well deserved.
Yes, I can agree with you on that one. The 2-0 very, very well deserved. I think this game was far cleaner than game 1. I felt the last game, there's a little bit of bleeding, maybe kind of bloody. You had that Kai'Sa Leona bot where you saw some of that strength pair back there onto Vorn, and while it didn't quite work out this time around into game 2, I love seeing the strength of these teams and their identities kind of flesh out here. I mean, we've seen Divine Ascension across the other leagues. It's nice to see in Light League they're also just as strong.
Yeah, Coltonson coming in very strong. He made a mistake twice, almost gave Shadowblade a comeback opportunity, but with how strong Void played this game, definitely coming in clutch every single time she stepped up, using this rocket belt, all the flashes landing, key CCs, getting double kills at Drake 2 times in a row. Huge catch potential on this mid inhib siege with Baron, left and right the playmaker for the team, and swapping with Baby Claps as both of them play AD carry and mid. This was the right call for this game.
Absolutely. I think it's hard to say because, I haven't gotten to see this team play with the other reversal. We talk about Baby Claps being that supreme carry, but Void looks just as strong. So maybe we've got a bit of a double pairing. What was one pillar in some of the interviews we had pre-broadcast? Maybe there's a bit more to this team than we thought.
Coming into this league, Void definitely could have said, hey, everybody's saying Baby Claps is the carry, but now it is my time to shine. Put me in the limelight. I got this and get on my back. Definitely played like it this game. The rest of her team definitely complimented them. Some really good ganks from Amumu. Early game, yes. Getting the Nico the lead. Ganks topside 4 times in a row, working to get Coltonson so big, getting him in that solo pushing potential where he can just push 1v3 and not worry. Except the 2 times he stepped a little bit too far forward. Both times he died, he did have over 1,000 gold in the pocket. No flash available to him from using it aggressively to kill the Wukong a minute prior. So a little bit of a mistake there in the macro, but team play itself was solid beginning to end.